As a couple of things I know about all guitarists. One, they love to sit behind the drum kit if the opportunity presents itself, but more importantly, number two, they also love to turn their electric guitar into a keyboard. And that's what we'll be doing today, thanks to the NUX Tutti. Now this is a 3-in-1 effects pedal, giving you a polyphonic octave mode as the primary thing that this does. Secondly, thanks to the top toggle switch, it changes it into bassline mode. So it allows you to set a threshold where the bassline actually kicks in. The third mode is momentary mode, where you just hold this down and it will allow you to bring in an octave effect just while you've got the button depressed. It's pretty cool. You're about to hear this converting my electric guitar into a makeshift organ sound throughout this intro track, and then we'll get over to some isolated tones. Thank you to NUX for sending this in and sponsoring this video. As per always, all thoughts are mine. No one gets to preview this video ahead of launch. There's a few things you need to know about it, so I'll save that up for the end. Here we go. The NUX Tutti is part of the Mini Core series, so it's a nice small compact pedal, which means there's no internal battery. You'll just be using this with power and it runs on 9V DC. There's side mounted jacks, a single on-off, nice soft switch here, and 3 main controls. Now, depending on what mode you're in, will depend on what these controls do, but the dry controls your dry signal. The sub is essentially the low end response, so no matter which mode you're in, it's going to add more lows. The top right hand control is the up and BSP option. So if you're in the polyphonic octave mode, it will bring in more upper octaves, and if you're in the bassline mode, it's a bass split point, so it will decide, or you can decide wherever you want to put that, at which point the low frequencies actually kick in. It's pretty cool. There's a couple of different LED lights. With the pedal on, you're automatically in the polyphonic mode, so if that light's on, that's the mode you're on. If the top light's on, it changes between 2 modes. So we're either in red for bassline mode or blue for momentary mode. Momentary mode only kicks in when you hold this button down. This pedal can also run in either buffered or unbuffered mode. So if you just plug it in, you see it flash red. So that means we're in buffered mode. If you want unbuffered, all you have to do is unplug it, hold this button down, plug it back in with the power, the light will go green, and then we're ready to go. That's it. Thanks to the USB-C port on the side and the NUX DFU updater software, you'll be able to update the firmware if they become available. But I haven't noticed any bugs with this, so we'll see whether or not there's a future version. All right, let's kick it off. What I'm going to do is showcase the different ways you can use this and the kind of difference you'll get on your electric guitar. So this is my Strat going into my Fender Blues Deluxe Reissue amplifier on the clean channel. Here we go. So typical sort of Strat sound there. Pedal on in polyphonic mode. So that's some single note stuff, right? Similar to what I played at the start. Now the cool thing is it tracked all of my notes. I mean, what a difference, right? So that's a whole lot of fun. Now, the cool thing with this is you get lots of sustain for chords, and it drastically just changes your sound. So if you're comping behind someone, for example, or much like what I was doing in that jam track at the start, you could play like Now, I'm playing all of those notes at the same time, but if you're someone who likes to use your fingers, already you're hearing like the makeshift keyboard sound. It's pretty impressive. Let me show you the 2 octave controls in polyphonic mode. So have a listen to this. More of both, so more upper and lower. Yeah. All right, a little bit more of the upper only. And let's bring that one back and crank up the lower. So now we're getting a vastly different sound. This definitely gives you some different inspiration just for playing either clean or dirty. The sustain's pretty cool. By pushing the top button, you can see the light goes red. Now we're in bassline mode, and the BSP control is the bass split point. Basically, this is now the point where the bass frequencies will kick in. Now you can adjust the dry signal as well. Let's bring it back. Yeah, sounds like an old school bass like that. Now we've got more note attack with it forward. I'll just play a couple of little licks on the upper strings here so you can get a good sense of what it's adding. So you can hear that it's adding more notes the further down on the strings that I go now. The third mode allows you to just have the effect on when you've got your foot down or finger, and then as you release it, it turns off. And it's a bit hard to showcase this while it's on this makeshift pedal demo seat over here, but I'll try my best. So you can already hear how that could be used effectively. Have a listen to this. You can just use it as an effect on the end of a chord, for example. That's pretty cool. Now let's have a listen to how the Tutti responds on the drive channel of my Fender Blues Deluxe. This is with the pedal off. Pedal on. Yeah, those 3-note chords, man, it brings this alive. It's pretty fun. Now the dry control is an interesting one. While it impacts the sound, you don't get that much dry signal through the pedal at all, even with it all the way up, and I'll showcase that right now. So this is still the drive channel on the amp. Again, you can hear the difference, but yeah, this really colors your sound, so just be well aware of that. All right, let's wrap this up. I'm gonna give you some final thoughts. So the pros of this pedal is, one, it's small, which is great. It runs on 9-volt DC. The build quality is great. All the NUX stuff seems to be really solid, so no problems there. The polyphonic mode is the star of the show, which is the mode where you get the sub and the upper octave. I think that absolutely rocks. And if you can get away with playing more organ parts than this guy, which is most likely the case, then you're going to get a kick out of this. I would use this for a song or two every gig where I just want to play something different rhythmically behind another guitarist. I think that would be a whole lot of fun just to break out the keyboard sounding electric guitar, because all guitarists like to do that, I'm sure of it. But anyway, that's a whole lot of fun. The momentary mode where you hold the button down to have it on, and then as you bring your foot off it, it turns off. That's actually really usable. I can see that being really helpful for folks who are playing live. For me, the star of the show is the polyphonic mode, how well it tracks all your bends, it works well with chords. And if you're used to playing full bar chords, just try and break them down into smaller portions, whether that's 3 notes or 2 notes. And all of a sudden, you've got a really great keyboard sound that just sounds legit. It really does. I was having a blast with that. Once you start adding some overdrive to your signal chain, or if you're using the dirty channel on an amplifier, it still handles that well also. So you can get into some of those sort of gritty keyboard sounds. So yeah, it's a whole lot of fun. My only other complaint is that in polyphonic mode, there's no way to really dial in more dry signal. I would have liked more of that without compromising necessarily how much sub or upper octave I had dialed in. So just keep that in mind. You might have to experiment by turning the sub and the upper down and then bringing in the dry signal a little bit more. But I just want to give you a quick overview of what this is capable of doing. Anyway, thanks to Michael from NUX for sending this out. If you want to take a look, I'll link it down below. Catch you soon.